All right, three, two, one. Let's see here. Am I live? There we go. All right. Had little technical difficulties there. It's Easter. Happy Easter, everybody. It's Sunday night, and I've got a little bit of cabin fever. I don't know about you. Mine's going on about 3 years now, though. So I recently joined. Well, I didn't just recently join. I've been on this app for a couple of years now, and it's called the Nextdoor app. And it's basically a way to communicate with your neighbors. If somebody loses a pet, you post a picture of the pet, and everybody in the neighborhood can see try to find their animal. Or if there are a lot of sirens in the neighborhood, people will post on the Nextdoor app and say, "Hey, there's sirens everywhere. What's going on?" And then people can post links, and it's just a social media uh, platform for neighbors to interact. And first comment said, "Is this live?" So in the title, you might notice that it's called the Sunday night live stream, unless I didn't put that. I'm not sure. So, but yes, we are live. This is it's 8:14 Sunday night, Easter Sunday, here in Avondale, Arizona, and I'm basically what this video is for is I'm introducing myself to my neighbors, to the people that live in directly in my neighborhood, the neighborhoods adjacent. I'm not sure what the radius is, but there's, I don't know, 8,000 or so different people that are on in my area here. Let's see, it says here somewhere. I'm on the app right now. But anyway, I joined this app and I decided to put a little bit of information out there, say hi to a few of my neighbors. I talked to all my neighbors already anyway. Anytime that I'm out and about in public, I'm just a personable guy. I get a friendly guy, whatever you want to call me. I like to talk to people, and even though I've gone through what I've gone through, it hasn't scared me away from interacting with people. And any chance I get, I start a conversation with people in public, and hope that it goes well. And it doesn't always with the information that I talk about, but I've talked to a lot of people here in my neighborhood. In my general area on the west side of Phoenix here, and all over Phoenix, downtown Phoenix, the east side, Scottsdale, everywhere I go. I've printed out 1,000 business cards, and I'm almost out of those business cards now. And on the business card, it has my website that I created. It has my Twitter account. It has all my social media basically. And that's just one of the ways that I get information out about the topics and events that I talk about. So Twitter has become a bit of an echo chamber. A lot of the people that I identify with, a lot of the people that talk about the same kind of topics that I talk about, have kind of gotten into a group, and a lot of people have blocked the trolls, basically, people that are constantly just jab, jab, jab. And it's become kind of an isolated group where I'm sure that there's another section of people that have created their own kind of isolated group too. And I was thinking, what's the best way for me to get some more of this information out, to have conversations with other people. And actually, my daughter asked me if I'm ever on the neighborhood app to see what's going on in the neighborhood. We hear gunshots off in the distance over here. Actually, not even off in the distance, not too far away, right down this way. You hear fireworks, sirens, different things like that going on, and you can hop on here and people are talking about stuff right away. So I got on the Nextdoor app, it's called, and started interacting with some people. And I noticed right away that there are some people on here that are either part of the group that that knows that we're living in a type of a Truman Show, basically, and they're complicit with helping disseminate false narratives to help control public with fear, anxiety, stress, etc. And then there are some people that are ignorant. And when I say ignorant, everyone is ignorant in some form. Uh, Ignorant is taken as a derogatory term, but nobody has all of the information. Nobody. If you know everything, you're God, and nobody knows it all. And that's why we do these live streams, why we connect on social media, why we read books, why we go to school, so we can learn things. And so there's some people that are just ignorant to information, and when they hear somebody post something that would put them in fear, they just go along with it, and because they don't have the information, they don't have the proper tools to deal with that information, and then they let fear take over, and let that ignorance take over, and they let that control them. And then there are those of us that question everything, research everything, listen to everyone, no matter what side they're on or what group they're in, and then we take all that information and come up with the most plausible conclusion for ourselves, and then we make our own decisions because we're free thinkers and free people. So so I just named three typical groups of people, but there's so many different types of people out there. But it's good when all of these people interact, because it's like in computer programming, there is open source networking, where everybody contributes basically to the computer program in like a brainstorming process, and it builds and builds and builds, and it gets better until it's almost perfect. And that's what we're doing in society today. So I get on this Nextdoor app, and there's a lot of people that are complaining that there are people that are not social distancing. People that are here. I'll read one. Actually, this lady's gonna love this if she happens to see this video. She blocked me from her post because I was just dropping a little bit too much knowledge and validating myself a little too much. And thank God, it was great to see that there are some free thinkers on here that were disagreeing with what she was saying. Her communist type or Nazi type, whatever, her controlling type attitude, rules for thee and not for me. I got that from Amazing Polly. I've never used that term before, but a lot of these people, that's how they view things. They have this air of rules for thee and not for me. You do as I say, not as I do. And so I'm just going to read this one right here. Ashley, how you doing, Ashley? I hope you make it to my live stream. You seem kind of bitter and controlling, and I'm sorry for your husband that he has to deal with that. But this is your post on Nextdoor. I'm just going to read it here real quick. And now, just to give you a little backstory here, the neighborhood that I live in, there's a golf course right here. It's called Coldwater Springs. I live in the Glenhurst area of the neighborhood. And this person is from Coldwater Ridge, which I think is down this way a block or two. I'm not sure. So she doesn't even really live in this in this neighborhood. It says social distancing. Since someone's undies ended up in a bunch and reported my last post, it was removed. So here it is again. I really don't buy that anybody reported her last post and it was removed. I think there was just too much information that I had put on there and some other neighbors had put on there that were kind of helping prove that you need to think for yourself and not to just listen to this fear. So she says, it's crazy. As I drive to the post office to ship my son a skateboard, I stopped at the light. I see people outside golfing in the gated community. Multiple golf carts full of people, no social distancing whatsoever. Little do they know, little do they know, days prior, not even a block away, my husband has just picked up a positive COVID-19 patient in his ambulance and transported them to the hospital. Why, people? Just why? One of the best comments, and this guy, so she deleted the original post, but one of the first comments was one of the neighbors around here. Uh, Great guy, great thinker for himself. Said, "How do you know if they had tested positive if they were just on their way to the hospital?" That was great. And I chimed in and I talked about this being a plandemic, not just a pandemic, where the virus is real. It was created in a lab at the same time as I always call it the antidote, at the same time as the vaccine. Uh, Most likely Dr. Charles Lieber, who was a Harvard professor who has just been charged and arrested. And I think he was actually convicted. I'm not sure if he was convicted yet. Had something to do with creating this virus. He's currently in China right now, which is where this virus came out. So anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. Let's see here. Let me check something here. Okay, I'm about 12 minutes in. I am, yes, this virus, like I was saying, I went off on a tangent. This virus is a real virus, just like all of the other viruses that happen to show up each election year. And there's a meme out there that shows each election year which virus came out. Zika, Ebola, SARS, foot and mouth, all the different ones, and they just happen to show up on election years. And that's such a coincidental thing, right? Um, all right, so, but one of the things that I found while I was, because I started getting attacked, because when you speak the truth to people that don't have that information, when you challenge their reality, and they have an ego, which almost everybody has an ego, and that's okay. But it's like when you challenge the information that they've been told, that they have invested in believing, a lot of times people won't stop and say, I need to think about that. Let me think about that. Let me research it a little bit. Thank you for letting me know this new information. And I'll get back with you. That's not their reaction. Their reaction is they're immediately offset. They don't want anyone to be telling them that what they know is wrong. And I get it. I used to be that way. I learned to listen to people though now, and even if I have been programmed basically into thinking a certain way, and I get some new information, I stop and I think about it, and I think, okay, now what's best for myself? So they're the people that just don't know any better. They think they know everything, and they have this air of confidence to where anybody says anything that's different from what they think, that you are automatically a woman hater, a racist, a drug addict nutcase. They think of something negative to say about you, and that's transference. They try to, or yeah, they race bait. They try to create a defense for you just to go away. Um, you're just some crazy nut job. You're a racist, woman hating, whatever you are. And a lot of times they think that, that will, and well, sometimes, yeah, that will push somebody away because they don't want to. Yeah, Willis says hi. Did you hear him barking? There's somebody up front. Uh, hey, wait, hey, Willis, you want to say hi? Look, there's everybody right there. Say hi. Right here. He never looks where I point. So now there's that type of person, and then there's the person that is complicit in the lie, and they're part of the club, and they know exactly what they're doing. They know the information they're pushing is false and full of fear. Oh, I hear somebody coming in the front door. I thought my daughter was staying the night at her friend's house. Okay, well, I guess we'll take a break real quick, and I'll be right back. We'll go let him in. Oh, maybe not. Oh, what just? Okay, maybe not. Just the neighbors getting in and out of cars out there. All right. So someone is on my roof. Hey, you never know. You never know. It'd be kind of tough to get up onto my roof. This house is pretty damn tall. Somebody, that was a comment. That's just not me saying this out of nowhere. So let's see. I've been on here for about 15 minutes, and one of the goals of this video was to introduce myself to the people in the local area. I posted this on the Nextdoor app. I said, "Hey, everybody, I'm Mike." Let's see. I've posted a few things here. Had some good interactions from people. Oh, you know what? Hold on. I didn't read some of the comments, which are just beautiful on this post here. So let me go back to this post before I introduce myself to everyone. So I don't know if you noticed, this person is driving to the post office to ship her son a skateboard, which is a very nice thing to do. That's her son doesn't live here in town, I guess. She looks like a younger lady, so I'm thinking it's not an adult kid that lives out of town that's working or something like that. Maybe a divorce. I don't know. I shouldn't assume. That happens to everybody. Happened to me. That's not a negative thing or a put down or anything like that. But anyway, she's going to the post office to ship her son a skateboard, which is a nice thing to do, but I wouldn't really consider that an essential task. She's not shipping something for her business that she needs to keep the business going, to pay the rent, pay the lights, pay for food, etc. It's, a it's just something that she's doing for somebody else. It's not really a necessity, but still a nice thing to do. I'm sure your son was happy with his skateboard. She says, "I'm stopped at the light. I see people outside golfing in this gated community." That's us. That's Coldwater Springs here. And it's not a gated community. There are no gates around here. Anybody can drive through here. You can get out of your car. You can walk onto the golf course. You can go as you please. There are no gates other than on our fences. And that's it. So, unless she's speaking about a different golf course, and I can't think of anywhere around here that has a gate around their golf course other than over in Phoenix. Okay, so anyway, multiple golf carts full of people. No social distancing whatsoever. So when I go into the post office, about 3 times a week, 2-3 times a week now. It's slowed down, especially this month. It's been way less. Now, every time I go in there, and you guys have seen videos of when I go into the post office, there are always around 10 people. We'll just say average, about 10 people in the post office. There is not room for everyone to stand 6 feet apart. There are not people wearing masks. It's in an enclosed area, doors shut. So it's not really a great place for social distancing. Um, these people are out golfing. They're in a golf cart. I believe it's been a while since I've been golfing. And usually when I would go, I'd go by myself or just with like one other person. But I believe on that golf course, and I might be over guessing here, but I think the max, and somebody can probably correct me, is 4 golf carts per um, per group. So that would be 8 people. Only 2 people fit in a golf cart, and you're outside. The wind's blowing, fresh air, sunshine. Sunshine kills COVID-19. Hot weather. Uh, so this person is doing something that is probably actually a little more dangerous than what these guys are out doing golfing. And the the complaint was that they were all standing in a group or something like that. So where is this guy's comment here? Oh, some of the good ones got deleted. Now I got silenced from this thread here. I can only thank. I can't on this. You can thank or reply, and I was replying to some of these, and they just couldn't. They couldn't handle the truth. Oh, Tawny Bauer, right there. And I thought about that too. She said they could be a family, Michael. The people out golfing, they could live together. Um, and I said, you know what? We're stuck in this house together. Let's get out of the damn house. Let's go to the golf course. We live at the golf course. I mean, let's go over here to the pro shop, pay them our 20 bucks. Well, let's see. It's still considered winter, so it's probably around 50 bucks to golf right now. But regardless, uh, they could go out as a family, go golf, and spend that time together outside, getting some exercise, uh, doing something positive, bringing their spirits up, spending family time together, and it's just not that big of a deal. There are people everywhere in groups. You go to the grocery store, the hardware stores are still open. There's a lot of different stores that are open where people are in close proximity with each other. And let's see, just saw a comment here. Whoa, cancel button. It says, this video is live. I've never seen it before. Well, welcome, Stephen Stacy. This video is live. I'm live streaming at Sunday night. Because I just wanted to. Well, I haven't done a live stream, I think, in almost a week now. And a lot of my live streams are when I'm driving, when I document some different things. And, I really don't have a lot to do right now. So I might as well live stream and talk to some of the people that haven't seen me on here recently and say hi to my neighbors. So, all right, well, I've tried to do this a couple times. We're 23 minutes into the live stream, and there's a possibility that a few people from the area may be watching this live stream. So I just wanted to say hi to you all. Happy to be your neighbors, and I'm happy to find here on the Nextdoor app that there are some people that are not afraid to speak up for themselves and to stand up for freedom and to use their own brain and to come up with their own conclusions based on their own research. For a while, going through this organized stalking and everything that I've gone through, it seemed like everybody in this damn town was just a InfraGard, Citizen Corps, FBI, SSG, some kind of government informant. But that I learned in the program that I'm in that they want you to feel that way and to become isolated and not speak with anybody and just think that the entire world is after you, and then you sound like a complete nut job because there's no way possible that everyone in the world could be part of this. But it just seems that way. So I kept reaching out, kept going on social media, kept doing my videos. I've talked to, I think I already said this once in this live stream, but I've talked to everyone that I come in contact with out in public, which hasn't been much recently, but I've handed out almost 1,000 business cards. So now I'm starting to connect with some of the people on this Nextdoor app and seeing that some people are not only free thinkers, patriotic Americans, but some of them are kind of funny, and they've got some pretty big balls to just say whatever they want. Uh, this lady here, Bridget, I won't say any last names here, but Bridget had a great response to this um, lady's post about tattling on the golfers while she was going to the post office. You know, like, what's the saying? Teapot calling the kettle black, something like that. I never get that one right. Somebody can correct me on here and comment. Bridget says, if you don't like people's comments, then stop posting, and you should probably try to mind your own business and not talk other people's business. Something you should think about. Beautiful, beautiful, Bridget. And there's a bunch of likes and happy faces and thumbs up, or they got a +1 on here instead of thumb up. And then Joe uh, dropped a meme with Leonardo DiCaprio holding up the champagne glass, and it says, "Well said, my friend, well said." So, you know, there's some people that want to live in freedom. They don't want the neighborhood Nazis uh, constantly surveilling everything that's done. It's good to keep an eye out and to um, look after your neighbors, but when it comes to controlling and being part of the fear narrative, people are smart now. People are very smart, and they don't want to be told what to do, especially if it's just to control them. So for all the people that are here from the area, welcome to my live stream. Again, my name is Michael Barden. Glad to be your neighbor. I love Arizona. I've been here for over 5 years. Uh, Even though I've gone through hell since I've lived here, and I have experienced some of the most traumatic things that I've ever experienced in my life, it's my favorite place that I've ever lived. I've lived in California, I've lived in Texas, I've lived in Maryland, I've lived in Oklahoma, and I've lived in Tennessee. I love Arizona. We have beautiful sunsets, we have beautiful weather, we have beautiful landscapes. There are some wonderful people here, and I call this home now. I don't think of California as my home anymore. This is my home, and I'm glad to be here. So some of you that follow my channel already know some of this information, but this is for the locals that are just coming to my live stream here. I am Michael Barden. I am a 14-year Air Force veteran, went into the Air National Guard, and then became a state active duty firefighter for 5 years. So I worked crash fire rescue firefighter as a crash rescue firefighter for 5 years, active duty at an airport for the 144th Fighter Wing, who had the active alert for the entire west coast of California, which means basically we protected the entire west coast, our pilots did, with the jets. And I worked at the fire department in support of those jets. After that, I worked as a multimedia journalist for that same base, which means I did photo, video, and broadcast journalism, along with websites, graphic design, other types of things like that, for 9 years. During that time, I met governors, senators, generals, worked directly with some generals. I was up in airplanes with generals, interviewed a lot of these different people. I took part in media presentations A lot of different things. I got some experience while I was doing this. I learned how compartmentalization works. I saw the inner workings of some of the military missions, and I got a lot of knowledge and wisdom while I was doing that. I left the military completely in 2013 and moved my family to Norman, Oklahoma. We were there for 2 years, owned and operated a small business, eBay store that we have, and we also owned and operated an art studio called Studios at 420 Main on Main Street in Norman, Oklahoma, which was near the University of Oklahoma. Met a lot of interesting people there. Would go to tailgate parties with Toby Keith. Spent some time at the state capitol speaking with public officials, trying to help pass laws, trying to make things better for people. Uh, did a lot of interesting stuff there too. Decided that wasn't the place I wanted to stay. It was too cold, had ice storms, blah, blah, blah. Weird stuff was going on. That didn't have anything to do with the area specifically, but the targeting that I personally go through. Moved my family here to Arizona, to Avondale, where I'm sitting right now, and we've been here for 5 years. And in that time, I've gone through a lot, and I've also accomplished a lot. I've done, the same thing. I've done a lot of interviews since I realized there's no easy way to tell this story. I realized in April, almost 3 years, actually 3 years today, 3 years ago today, something very traumatic happened in my life that made no sense in the world, that what was happening to me in my life could have happened organically. There's no way that the things that were occurring in my life could have been coincidental. And I started going, you know what? I need to figure this out. It feels like I'm living in the Truman Show. What is going on? So I got online, I started researching, I started contacting people, and after enough research, I realized that I was what is called a targeted individual. And this is a very complex thing for people to understand if you've never heard about it, if you've never experienced anything like this. But it's what I have researched, investigated, documented, spoken out about, networked. I've done a lot of different things to, one, figure out what's going on in my own personal life, and two, to help the other people that are going through the same thing. I've realized that there are a lot of other people that are going through this exact same thing. In that time, here, I had to write a little list here so I didn't forget. In that time, I've been on, some people were on the Nextdoor app here, were trying to discredit me and say I was a crazy guy and I was trying to make stuff up, or this is, I think that what she said was, this guy says he's targeted by the FBI and CIA or some bullshit. And I responded with, well, maybe you should have watched the interview with the former CIA counterintelligence officer named Kevin Shipp that corroborated my story before you said that. And but I have, if I don't say so myself, I've made some progress in doing my due diligence, getting the word out about this, proving my story, and showing the tactics and standard operating procedures that are not just used on me, but possibly over 1 million people, maybe 1.5 to 3 million people in the United States. And this has basically become my mission in life, because I've lost everything that I love in my life. So I've appeared on a show called Caravan to Midnight with a journalist named John B. Wells. He used to appear on a show called Coast to Coast AM. And I've been on that show twice. Other people that have been interviewed on that show are people like General Michael Flynn, who, if you haven't heard who General Michael Flynn is, that's just research that. Pretty important guy in in our time right now. Very important, probably one of the most important people that has sacrificed everything in his life for your personal freedom. He's been interviewed on that show. Department of Homeland Security Officer Philip Haney was also on the show. He was recently murdered, and he was actually speaking about some of the same information about that I speak about how the Department of Homeland Security is weaponized against patriotic, nationalist, good Americans, and that actual terrorists were scrubbed off of these watch lists to run free and wreak havoc in our country because there were international interests that were basically paying off some of our public officials that people trust in to destroy our country. He was murdered not long after he was on that show. Not long, they tried to say it was a suicide at first. It's been investigated. Excuse me, it's been investigated, and it looks like that was a murder now. I didn't believe it was a suicide the minute I heard it. And there are over 1,000 Caravan to Midnight shows. Some of the greatest thinkers in the world have been on that show, and I am humbled to have been the guest on that show. Actually, the featured guest twice now. The first time I spoke for over 3 hours. That was way too long. But like I said, there's no short way to tell my story, to explain what I've gone through and what I've experienced. I just recently, within about a month, it's been maybe right around a month, I was just the featured guest on that show again. It's caravantomidnight.com. Please check it out. I'm the bald guy in the blue suit. It's a great show. Check that out. I've also been the featured guest multiple times on a show called Crowdsource the Truth. This is a YouTube channel. Actually, it's a multi-platform channel. It's on YouTube, on Periscope, on Patreon. It's all over the place with a host named Jason Goodman. He's had on so many different whistleblowers and intel agents, Hollywood insiders, different people that have experience with certain compartmentalized groups, certain information that, the bad guys don't want the information out, and these people go to this show. One of those people is Kevin Shipp. We have the Intelligence Hour, I think it's called, with Kevin Shipp. Kevin Shipp is a former CIA counterintelligence officer. He was solely responsible for catching the head of the FBI actually colluding with the Russians. He was a double agent, and Kevin Shipp investigated that and caught that guy. And he's also done a lot of other things. He is the CIA agent that came out and explained to the public what the deep state and the shadow government are. And they're two different entities, and they're basically the elite that they call themselves that run our government above our government and give us the illusion of choice. He's a very brave guy. He went through it sounds like the exact same thing that I've gone through. They tried to poison his family. They've tried to murder him multiple times. He thankfully has had training, being a CIA counterintelligence officer, to make it through that and still be alive today. And he was just featured on the greatest documentary. I'm going to just go ahead and say the greatest documentary I've ever seen. A lot of people are saying it's the greatest documentary of the year. It's called Out of Shadows. It was released about 48 hours ago, and I'm going to say that has, let's see, in the first 24 hours, it had over 1 million views. Let's see, how many views? That is a great documentary, and if you're trying to red pill people, if you're trying to help crack open their brain a little bit, not literally, but just to get them to start thinking, This is a great documentary. So they are at 2.6 million views, and it was literally uploaded just about 24 hours ago. It talks about Hollywood uh, working with the CIA and how they use propaganda to control public with fear and cover up a lot of terrible, terrible things that are going on in our country as far as trafficking and different things like that. So once again, that's called Out of Shadows. If you look it up on YouTube, it's Out of Shadows Official, and you have to type in official or else it won't come up. It looks like it's being censored a little bit. Let's see, one of the other shows that I've been on is called Whistleblower Heroes. That's a nationally syndicated, I'm sorry, it's Revolution Radio, and the segment on Revolution Radio is Whistleblower Heroes. I did that interview with Ella Free, and of course I can't think of the other guy's name right now. But anyway, uh, who is that other guy? Damn it, I can't think of his name. But anyway, I was on Whistleblower Heroes on Revolution Radio. A lot of other people, a lot of other whistleblowers have been on this. Bill Binney, who was the technical director of the NSA, who came up with a surveillance program called Thin Thread, and he was targeted also. He's a big advocate for targeted individuals. Um, and he's gone through some terrible things too. There's a movie about Mr. Binney. I believe that's still on Netflix. I think you can look it up on YouTube. It's called A Good American, and it's about his life story and how he kind of came up through the ranks in the NSA, and he's a great American hero, actually. Uh, was on that show, been on a show called Targeted Massachusetts, and I spoke with a doctor that graduated from Harvard and worked for the CIA, DARPA, the Department of Defense, and actually he's an author. He's written a few books, one called Operation or Project Soul Catcher, I believe it's called. But he created a lot of neural technology where basically they can interface with people's brains and interact with people's brains. He says the brain has no firewall, and he helped develop a bunch of this technology, was told that it wouldn't be used against American citizens, and then sure enough, complaints all over the United States of this technology being used against us and around the world. And it was supposed to be used for good medical cures, and it just kept getting worse. So he said something about it. He's been on tons of shows. There have been all kinds of other people that have been on these shows that I've been I'm very thankful and humbled to be on some of these same shows as some of these people. But I also have my YouTube channel. This channel, I've got over 1 million views on this channel. I think I've got close to 5,000 followers on Twitter now. I don't know what Facebook is. Facebook, I'm not on there too much. But between all these radio shows and this YouTube channel, and people I've spoken to in person, well over a few million views, talking about the subjects I talk about. And I keep telling, the people that have harassed me in this area, I keep my cool, but I tell them, you know what, I'm going to make you famous. I'm going to make West Phoenix famous. Not because I want notoriety, not because I want people to know who I am, but because I have no other choice in combating what I've lived through and dealt with. And we're getting there. We're getting there. Did I say that General Michael Flynn follows me on Twitter? That was a great day when I saw that he followed me on Twitter, and some other people that can actually do something about this, and that love our country and just love freedom and people in general. So that's a little bit of background on me. The people that are watching my channel right now are like, God, Mike, we've already heard all this. We know all this stuff. We've seen the shows. But again, this video is for the neighbors. So, hi neighbors, how you doing? So happy to know that some of you are great people, and that you will voice your opinion. And I hope that I get to meet some of you guys. Uh, let's see here. What else? What else can I go over? Um, oh, my website. My website. I already posted it on here on the Nextdoor app. I don't know if they deleted it or not, but I posted my card. My website is barredin.us. So it's BARREDIN.us. Let's see if I can try the phonetic alphabet. It's Bravo Alpha Romeo Romeo Delta Echo. Nope, I messed up. Bravo Alpha Romeo Romeo Delta Igloo November dot uniform S. What is S? Sam? No, that's what police use. I forget what S is in the phonetic alphabet. Anyway, it's barredin.us. You can go there and check it out. These interviews that I was just talking about are on links on my website. Oh, I almost forgot. Did an interview with a guy named uh, Larry Nichols. Now, Larry Nichols worked directly with Bill and Hillary Clinton, and he was kind of a nefarious character. He's from Arkansas. He's got the drawl. He's like the guy on the X Files that smokes like 2 packs of cigarettes a day. Uh, he's a tough guy, but he didn't do the greatest things throughout his life. And I'm not sure how Larry is. I haven't checked in with him. He's usually on Crowdsource the Truth. But Larry realized, you know what, I'm getting towards the end of my life here. I need to tell people what I did. I need to help people. And he became a whistleblower and talked about a lot of the things that he had done in his life for the Clintons. None of them are positive stories. If you're fans of them, sorry to disappoint you. Uh, but Larry did an interview with me also. You can find that on my website here, and he also helped me in understanding, helped me to corroborate my story and um, let other people know, what's going on with this kind of thing that I'm talking about. So let's see. Oh, I didn't talk about Karen Melton Stewart. Karen Melton Stewart is a 28-year veteran of the NSA. She's an analyst, uh, linguist. She speaks several languages. I think she speaks 5 languages. Worked for the NSA, responsible for helping stop terrorist attacks that saved thousands of lives of American citizens. And she's one of my heroes. There's an interview with her on here. She wrote me a personal affidavit for a court case that I have. She's probably one of the biggest voices and advocates for targeted individuals. Let's see. John D'Souza. John D'Souza is also a friend and hero of mine, mentor, role model. John lives in Tucson, Arizona. He's a 25-year FBI special agent who investigated terrorist attacks, investigated 9/11. Um, he's got quite the history. If you've ever seen the show The X-Files, he's the guy the show The X-Files was written about. Of course, they added some things into the show for TV to make it, make it more interesting. But John D'Souza is Mulder. The very first video on my website here is a video that I used, a technique that he taught me in person. I went to visit him in Tucson, spent the entire day with him, and he taught me how an FBI investigator would investigate what I'm going through personally, and how I would basically put that down on paper and explain it in court. So that's how I did this first video here, John D'Souza. All right, so I've talked about myself enough. I am a targeted individual. After 9/11, the Patriot Act was enacted, and the Department of Homeland Security was created. After the Department of Homeland Security was created, they created what are called fusion centers. There's a fusion center in each state. Now, when a person gets put on a government watch list, which not many of the people that are on government watch lists are actually bad people. They're people that are trying to reach out to the public. They're whistleblowers, they're journalists, there are people that are trying to uncover corruption, trafficking, all kinds of different things. And the people that are in power have basically become mafia, corporations, and government merged. So when they have somebody that's going to uncover their crimes, they can just put them on this terrorist watch list. And the way they do it is they put them on this list. Since the Patriot Act, all of our information is collected. Our emails, our phone calls, all of our interactions online, everything that we do is basically collected and kept in digital warehouses. One, I believe, is at Fort Meade, Maryland, at the NSA facility there, and then there's another one in Salt Lake City, Utah. So we've got these two huge facilities, and they keep all of your information. And not just if you're on this list, everyone, just in case you step out of line, they have your information ready to go. So say you observe that there's a child trafficking ring going on, and the people that are connected to that child trafficking ring have connections to this terrorist watch list. They say, ooh, we need to shut that person up, we need to discredit that person, we need to silence them. They're going on this list. And then you start going through these series of events in your life that just seem unreal, and you try to explain that, you sound like a crazy person. So all of that information is collected in these collection data centers. Once you are put onto one of these lists, a fusion center, which is in every state in the United States that are privately owned but state-run, collects that information on the specific individual, and then they disseminate that information out to compartmentalized groups that carry out different tactics on a targeted individual. Some are just surveillance, some are harassment, some are sabotage. There's a lot of different things that these compartmentalized groups do. Some are no-touch torture with directed energy weapons, and a lot of different stuff like that. You can research more of that later, but there's compartmentalized groups that attack a targeted individual. So the fusion centers disseminate this information that's been collected on everyone's mass data collection. They disseminate that information to the compartmentalized groups, and then the compartmentalized groups carry out their tactic, their specific tactic, whatever their mission is. And they are, a lot of these people will have to have a secret clearance. They sign an NSL, which is a national security letter, meaning that they can't say anything about their job because it's a matter of national security. And they also sign a non-disclosure, which says that if they disclose any of the information, that their assets will be seized, a lot of different things like that. So one, they have the threat of going to prison for divulging any of the information in these programs, and two, everything that they've made doing these illegal activities can be taken from them. So a lot of people are just trapped once they start these jobs. Some of these groups are the FBI InfraGard, the Citizen Corps, the FBI Secret Surveillance Group, and other groups that you wouldn't think that would carry out different things like this. Homeowners associations are contacted to take part in a lot of these different events. And they're dressed up, and they're made pretty. You know, they say, hey, we need you to help with us. We need you to help us. We need you to be a good American. We've got some bad people running around the neighborhood, and we need you to help just keep an eye on them, or we need you to do this one specific thing to help your country. And so basically they are tricked. Hey, Willie, come here, buddy. They're tricked into doing some of these things that they don't think is, too big of a deal, flashing their high beams, etc. Willie, whoa, etc. So I've gone over most of the foundation of targeted individual programs. What do you see, Willie? Come on, buddy, come over here. Yep. Someone's outside. I've got the front door open. People are out walking. It is 9 o'clock though, so you know. But people are out walking their dogs. It's a really nice night here. It's probably 55, 60 degrees, something like that here in Arizona. Like I said before, the weather's beautiful. Um, okay, so that was my introduction to all of my neighbors here. That hopefully some of you saw this. You know what? I did not look at the comments here to see if any of the neighbors chimed in and said anything. Wow, there's a lot of comments. How long have I been on here? Okay, I've been on here for 55 minutes. I'm going to go through some of the comments here, and then I'm going to probably check out. Happy Easter. Happy Easter. Getting a lot of Happy Easters. Happy Easter to everyone. The last 2 days were amazing as far as information dropping on QAnon.pub, QANON.pub, that directly has to do with targeted individuals, MK Ultra, black sites being shut down. Angus Schockmeyer says, Mike, the boogaloo is upon you. Or something. Oh, where'd it go? Uh, Mike, will you roll up your sleeve for Uncle Bill Gates? You know, I think with targeted individuals, it's already a little bit too late for us. A lot of us have been implanted non-consensually with RFID chips and different identifiers and stuff like that. So we were basically the beta test for what they're trying to do to everyone now. I think it's too late for some of us, but we never accepted that. Yeah, we were subjected to it. So now they're going to try to subject everyone to that. And what I see happening to the general public is very similar to what targeted individuals have been documenting and reporting over. Well, I've been doing this for about 3 years now. So what targeted individuals have been documenting and reporting, a lot of the Stasi-type policing, a lot of the harassment. I heard today that saw a news report, video actually of this happening, of a man out, I think with his daughter. They were in the car and the police accused him of being mentally unstable because they were just out during the coronavirus, when the guy could have easily done his homework and realized that this pandemic is not as bad as they're telling us, and that it's for social engineering, and it just happens to be during an election year. So, but they are claiming that that man is mentally unstable because he is exercising his Fourth Amendment right and his God-given right to be out in public. I mean, he wasn't even out in public; he was in his car. But those same type of tactics have been used on targeted individuals for a long time. Somebody's asking, what does FB mean? Facebook? Let's see. Anna B. says, my doctor wants me to move to Arizona because of my allergies. I live in Florida. Yeah, I don't think the allergies are as bad here in Arizona. Other than some chemtrails, we've got some nice clean air. I don't know of too many people that are suffering from allergies. When I lived in Central California in the San Joaquin Valley, and there was agriculture everywhere, almond trees and all kinds of different things, people suffered from allergies big time. Plus there was the smog that came in from the Bay Area and from Los Angeles over the mountains, and it just kind of hovered over Fresno. And then because of their emissions, we got their regulations. Andy B says, thank you for serving, Michael. It was my pleasure, actually. I loved being in the Air Force. I went through some weird stuff when I was in there, but I loved being a firefighter in the Air Force. I really missed driving my truck, going on calls, uh, hearing the station alarm go off. Tension in the station, tension in the net. We have an in-flight emergency on 29 left. 25 souls on board, smoke in the cockpit. ETA arrival, 7 minutes. Bang! They hit the alarm. Unless I was the one hitting the alarm, if I was sleeping in the alarm room that night, we all get up, get to the truck, get our bunker gear on, get out there, and just wait for what was coming in. And man, I really miss that. I like being a journalist. I like doing that. Got to meet some interesting people, but I really miss being a firefighter. I love that job. I love that job. And I'm a lot more thick-skinned now than I am, so I would have been able to deal with some of the harassment I got. When you start as a firefighter, your rookie year, you're supposed to get harassed. That's for a reason. That's to see if you can handle the stress. And but yeah, just basically to see if you can handle the stress and to teach you to live in stressful situations and to stay calm. Plus, it gets really boring in a fire station. You have to have something to do. We'd play pranks on each other all the time. I watched a show recently called Tacoma FD, and whoever wrote that show or consulted while writing that show definitely worked at a fire station because they did all the same stuff we did. Brandon says, anywhere you go when you're a TI, it's never good nor great. That's true. This is in every state. And just like I said earlier, there are fusion centers in every state. And these people get paid either a GS wage grade, federal income, government job to take part in this full-time job, or they get rewarded in different types of ways that are covert, like gift cards or maybe new roof for the house, new pool, off-road vehicles, different things like that. Different ways to cover up those kind of payments. Still going through. Sorry about the noise here when I scroll through my phone. I know it's a little bit noisy. I'm skipping some of the comments because it looks like you're just talking amongst yourselves here. Anita Cox Gaming says, don't buy into the coronavirus scam. So, you know, and I agree with Anita. It's quite the conundrum that we find ourselves in because it's part of a. Sorry, I need to drink some water here. My lips are getting dry. It's part of the psychological operation in social engineering and control. It's a real thing. It's a real virus. People have gotten this virus, but there's a very high survival rate. I mean, we lose 35,000 people a year just during flu season to the regular flu. And nobody panics during flu season. They just go out and do their thing and hold hands, shake hands, and go to the store and different things like that. But because this virus was introduced this election season, and it's really getting a lot of deep state funding to keep everybody in fear. They want everybody to stay home. They want everybody to mail in those ballots so they can cherry pick through those ballots, get rid of the ones they don't want, and elect their next straw man. And we don't want that. We want actual free will. We want freedom of choice. We don't want our wants and needs in our country to be stifled. And last mail-in ballots, 16 million ballots were lost. It's a lot of ballots. Delphi Lungwin says, this stuff was happening to me. Don't know if They're connected. It's bad. They will hurt you. I don't want to downplay this because it's real. Yeah, they call this no-touch torture or slow kill program. They want to walk you to your grave, basically. They want you to commit suicide. They want you to become an active shooter. They want you to act out in aggression, end up in prison, end up in a mental facility, or end up on psychotropic or SSI drugs, which will make you easier to control, which is the agenda. And I have no agenda. Somebody on Nextdoor said something about my agenda, and I have no agenda other than uncovering the truth, what's going on in these weaponized systems and how we're being controlled, and getting my own life back, becoming exonerated and indemnified for my pain and suffering. You know, I don't want $100 million. I just want enough to live, have a little house, buy a used car, maybe send my daughter to college, recoup the opportunities that were stolen from me. That's it. I want to be exonerated. I want my right to vote back. I want my right to carry a firearm back. And I want to be taken off of whatever list or lists that I'm on. And so do a lot of other people. Whoop, there goes Willis again. Who's out there, Willie? He's growling. Anita Cox Gaming said, watch out, Michael, be safe. Anita, thank you very much, but it's way past that point. I don't live in fear, and I don't let this affect me anymore. I mean, it's affecting everyone now. Nobody can go to work. I can't do my job the way I've done it before. But as far as the fear tactics and the death threats and different things like that, not a big deal to me anymore. It's a big deal. They shouldn't be doing this. These people are dangerous, but I do not live in fear, and I refuse to. Oh, here's a good one. Happy Easter, TIs. Happy Easter to everybody. Tawny Bauer says, Michael, wow, Michael, you've done a lot. Thank you. In the last 3 years, you know, when this first started, I thought I was going to be dead within a year. And if I don't say so myself, I have done a lot. Oh, here, while we're talking about me, here's something I did. One of the people that were in my QAnon group that came, I hosted the local area QAnon group at my house. 11 people showed up. We shared information, talked about things, barbecued, got to know each other. But one of the people in my QAnon group were kind enough to make this shirt for me right here. So this is a big deal right here. 13818. It's Executive Order 13818. It's the executive order that the president signed in December of 2017, which combats corruption and will allow them to seize the assets of people involved in corruption, such as trafficking and weaponized systems, which are running our country, running more than our country. And this is the most important executive order that's ever been signed in the history of the world, in my opinion, because it literally will allow us to wipe out the cabal, wipe out organized crime and weaponized systems and systems of control, even banking, central banking, that have kept us in debt slavery for 150 years. So I have that, and here, oh man, lost my space. Well, maybe I'll just go back down to the bottom here on the comments. And then on the back, it says, let's see, can you see this? Declass FISA. So that's declassifying the FISA court. I guess one of the things that I didn't talk about earlier is when you get put on these lists, it's through the Department of Homeland Security and the FISA court, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act court, which is a secret court. There's no due process, which our Constitution says that we are allowed due process. People are put through this private secret court, and rubber stamped to be non-judicially punished. That is the most un-American thing I've ever heard of. So basically, somebody in the good old boy club can just say, I want this person to be on the list. They can make up whatever information they want. They can say you're from another country. They can say that you have colluded with Russia. They can say you've done whatever the hell they want the narrative to be about you. They can start creating a fake dossier, give it to the FISA court. That FISA judge was installed. 10 of the 11 FISA judges were installed by Obama. They can stamp it, and your life goes to hell. So that I believe that General Michael Flynn was targeted under FISA Section 702. They tried to say he was colluding with the Russians, and I believe that our president was targeted under FISA Section 702 as well. And if FISA gets declassified, now FISA works both ways. It can be used on these people too. So if they don't get rid of the FISA court, at least they can flip it around and use it on these people that have used it on us as a political tool, the people that are actually domestic terrorists, and they can live through some of the hell that they put us through. They can understand, whoa, Willie, Willis, Willie. You got somebody standing? Hey, what are you doing, man? Who's out there? You got people lurking? No? Sorry, everybody. Had to take a quick break. There was somebody standing out in front of my house at 9:30 at night on Easter Sunday in the very back of a neighborhood. That's normal. So anyway, FISA court, corrupt. Department of Homeland Security, corrupt. It's been used as a political weapon. And I went off on a tangent and forgot what I was talking about. So, yeah, I'd like to wear this shirt. Go on a bike ride through the neighborhood, wear my shirt so people can see it. You know, nice big. Oh, I wore this too. That's what I was talking about. Thanks for reminding me. I went to the Trump rally here in Phoenix and I wore this shirt. I lost track how many people asked me questions about it, didn't know about Executive Order 13818, took pictures with me, had great conversations, and I got to speak with Arizona State Representative Andy Biggs. Gave him my card, talked to him really briefly about what I do and that I'm a targeted individual and the FISA court needs to go, something like that, real quick. He said, well, this is my, what did he say? He had somebody with him. This is my assistant. This is my personal assistant. He researches all this stuff. He'll go through it, and we'll take a look at what you've done here. Less than 1 week later, thank you, Representative Biggs. You're an amazing person, and I really appreciate you actually taking the time, or your team to actually taking the time to go through this information, because 1 week after I gave him my business card at the Trump rally, he posted a video on Twitter saying that the FISA court needs to be abolished and that it's completely unconstitutional. Now, unless that was a complete coincidence, that means that he actually looked through this information and said something about it to the public. So that's one more thing I've done, pat myself on the back. I don't care to say I'm proud of myself. I'm just glad I'm still alive. Captain Truth says, yeah, a lot of them are empaths. A lot of TIs are empaths. They are independent thinkers, high IQ. A lot of different, very similar traits in targeted individuals. Oh, here's Queen Esther. I am sorry to give you bad news, but it is almost impossible to find an attorney when you're targeted. If you do find an attorney, they are going to work against you. That is my personal experience. Spent close to $50,000 with an attorney. As soon as he got my check, the initial check of $35,000. Uh, Before that, he was on my side. He was going to fight for me. This guy was an attorney that literally, well, maybe I shouldn't even talk about the case. He's got some people off for doing some really bad things. Uh, no, I just say there's a lady in this neighborhood that murdered both of her kids. She drowned both of her kids and admitted to it. He represented her and she walked. I got set up and ended up having to sign a plea deal. So that just tells you about that. He turned on me, and immediately, as soon as he got my money, started treating me like uh, the opposition. So it's tough to get an attorney because if the attorney represents a targeted individual that's on a domestic terrorist watch list, even though you're not a domestic terrorist, you could be a soccer mom that went through a custody battle with somebody connected to a person that has access to this list. Um, then they basically are aiding and abetting a terrorist. So then they would be put on this list as well. So it's kind of like, it's almost like a pandemic virus being targeted, because anybody that helps you gets put on this list too. And if they're in the know, if they know about it, they're not gonna subject themselves to that. There's only a few people I know of that have subjected themselves to this. Actually, there's only one for sure that I know of. That's former Annapolis Naval Academy graduate David Voigt. He was a nuclear, no, what was he? He was a some kind of warfare, special warfare officer. He had a very high clearance. He found out about these targeting programs, and being the good American that he is, he said, fuck that. That shouldn't be happening to these people. This is ridiculous. We swore an oath to the Constitution to protect our citizens, and that's not happening. So he figured out what he had to do to be put on this list, got targeted intentionally so he could investigate and report what's happening. Other than that, I don't know anyone else that's intentionally got themselves put on this list. All right, I'm almost at an hour and 20 minutes here, and a lot of times that's way too long for a live stream or a YouTube video. People lose their attention span after 15 minutes on a lot of YouTube videos. Tanya says, nice t-shirt, Michael. I hope they are not perps that bought it for you. Yeah, there was only one person I really, with the QAnon meeting that I had, that I didn't get good vibes from, that kind of pulled me aside and started telling me some really crazy stuff. Most everybody seemed all right, but they could have easily been, I don't know, it's hard to say. It's tough to say. Jules TI says, how do I exercise 13818 as an individual? That's a good question, and I don't think that executive order is set up for individuals necessarily to take action against other people. It's mostly for government to stop, and the military to stop corruption and seize assets. But the executive order is available on whitehouse.gov. Just Google or Bing Executive Order 13818, and you should be able to bring that document up. It was signed December 2017. Candace Case says that they have stopped torturing her via pain, but still following. Well, good, Candace. I'm glad to hear that they're not hurting you with any of the tech weapons or anything anymore. I know they can be painful. I've got it all. The only thing that I have not received is V2K, voice to skull. Everything else that you hear a targeted individual talk about, I have had as part of my life. Cheryl Lewis says it never stops. Don't be fooled. I don't know. I'm going to finish this podcast, this live stream with a couple of the Q drops that I think. So I've been following QAnon since it started. It's like I think around October 2017. Okay, so on QAnon.pub, they were talking about the 10 days of darkness, and they went dark from March 28th to April 8th, exactly 10 days, and started dropping some pretty good posts here. FISA, post 3921 says FISA indictments start Q. FISA's where it's at. FISA brings down the house, like the house of cards. It's like taking the bottom card out, they're all gonna fall down. So here's what's transpired over the last 3 years, a little bit more than 3 years, but since this entire plan has been put into action, says to think about CEO departures. We've had more CEOs step down, resign, be removed than really any time in U.S. history. If you look at the different CEOs that have stepped down from corporations, it's been a mass exodus. Think about FBI departures, people that have been fired or left the FBI. Think about Department of Justice departures. Think state departures. Think White House departures. Think DIA, Defense Information Agency departures. Think Pentagon departures. Think Senate departures. Think House departures. AMB departures. I'm not sure what AMB is. AMB, anybody know? Anybody know? IG departures, so Inspector General departures. The two that stood out to me the most, the Inspector General of the Department of Homeland Security, which you heard me just talking about, has been fired, actually indicted, I believe, and the IGIC, so the Inspector General of the Intelligence Committee, has just been fired as well. There's going to be more IG departures. There's one I'm really curious about. My former boss is the Inspector General of the Air Force now. He's a general. So General, Inspector General. I'm not even going to say his name, but he was the commander of my base, and we both worked in headquarters together. I've stood underneath the wing of an F-16 with him, out on the flight line, sat at meetings in headquarters with him, directly across from him, and taken direct orders from this guy. And he's now the Inspector General of the Air Force. A few people might already know who that is, but I'm really curious about that Inspector General, because he possibly could have been involved in the initial request to target me. Not sure. Hopefully I'll find out. Okay, so think judge installs. You gotta forgive me for going off on tangents. So judge install, a lot of federal judges have been removed, new ones have been installed. I actually met one of the judges that are being appointed to federal judge here in Phoenix. Sat down with her face to face, talked to her. Think White House install, think FBI install, think C space A install, I think that's CIA. Think DOJ install, think US ATT install, which is US attorneys. And then at the bottom it says game theory. Now game theory triggers me a little bit because in this targeting thing, well, I shouldn't say triggers me, but as soon as I hear game theory, I think of, hyper game theory in being a targeted individual. They use something called hyper game theory, which is where basically anything that annoys you, bothers you, just affects you negatively, they really focus on that. And you have to become numb basically and not let anything affect you because of the hypergame theory. Otherwise, it just gets worse. So, but game theory actually was created by, I think his first name was John, last name Nash. There's a movie about him called A Beautiful Mind. So check that movie out. That goes over what game theory is. So, but here are the, let's see, can you see my computer in here? Maybe it's too bright. Yeah, it's too bright. Yeah, all right, well, I'll just read it. And then I'm gonna end this live stream. See, there's 60-something people here, so thank you. I appreciate you all being here on Easter Sunday. Feel like I haven't seen my friends in a while when I haven't done a live stream. Glad to see all your comments here and everybody, see that everybody's doing okay, considering. Read the comments? Okay. Let me go over this and I'll read a few more comments. Okay, so this Q drop right here says, in brackets, placeholder indictments tracking non-civilian. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I believe those are possibly high-ranking officials that are going to be indicted. Well, obviously it says indictments tracking non-civilians. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I think that's 6 specific people. The next one says placeholder indictments tracking civilians. Now we know that in this Stasi-type policing system that civilians are part of the Department of Homeland Security organized stalking and harassment programs. That stands out to me as possibly some of these people that are involved in that. Next one says placeholder acts of treason plus support articles. Next one says placeholder foreign acts pub publication, and the last one placeholder FISA publication. So all of that rings a bell with me. I see indictments non-civilian, indictments civilian, acts of treason, foreign acts, FISA, Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. That's on QAnon.pub. It's post 3934 on April 10th. Check that one out. And then the very last one that they put out is post 3951, and it shows a link to the video that I was talking about a little bit earlier, Out of Shadows. And in that documentary, it talks about MK Ultra and how MK Ultra never ended. A lot of this, through these targeting programs, we're going through MK Ultra type programs where they want to create patsies, they want to create active shooters, they want to create chaos with these programs, they want to split personalities, they want people with dissociative identity disorder, they want people to be controlled and be manipulated into being tools basically for the government. And right underneath the link to that says best documentary of the year, which I agree with. I thought it was great. I was happy to see Kevin Shipp be featured in that. Kind of helps me out a little bit personally too, seeing that I've done an interview with him before. He's corroborated my story. He ends up being the featured guy, the CIA agent on this video. I was like, whoa, right on. You know, as a targeted individual, you're constantly searching for credibility so somebody will believe what you're saying, and it's almost impossible. And each little thing helps. But underneath that, it's got an F in brackets. Black sites are being closed, and then in brackets, MK active. So to me, that's MK Ultra. I could be wrong. But black sites are basically, some of these programs are classified above congressional and presidential knowledge, and they're called black operations or dark operations, or they're called SAPs or USAPs. Special access programs or unacknowledged special access programs, and they classify the shit out of them way up high to where the president doesn't even know about these, Congress doesn't know about these programs, and they're just hidden. They can do whatever they want, and they can request as much money as they want. Nobody knows about it, there's no oversight, they have free reign to wreak havoc anywhere and do anything they want. And if anybody gets close to uncovering what they're doing, they just throw them in the grinder and make them end up in prison or mental hospital, whatever, to discredit them. And then it says class 1 through 99 future. So I don't know what that is. Possibly there are 99 different compartmentalized groups that take place in the MK Ultra programs. I'm not 100% sure. This is military code. And I was in the military, but I was never in intel or anything that I had to speak like this with anybody. So this is mostly like intel speak, I think. That's where everybody got the 5x5. 5x5 is loud and clear, now everybody says it. So, all right, over an hour and a half here. I need to get going. I'll just check out a couple more of these comments, and then I gotta go. People think that Q is a psyop. That's okay if you think that. I think that it is legitimate. I think it's a group of military generals that are disseminating information to the public. I've been following it long enough to where, you know, they say something's gonna happen, it happens, and it's done slow and methodically and with laser focus, just like I saw things operate in the military. And they've proven themselves to me. I don't know. I don't ever see anybody provide any kind of like supporting anything when they say Q is a psyop. I just hear Q is a psyop. So, hey, I don't know, maybe down the road I'll be proven wrong. I hope not. It's but I've received a lot of positive information through these Q drops, and I've seen a lot of follow through with what they say, and they have dropped some information that I can understand. So we'll see. Like the lady said on Nextdoor earlier, Mike Barden isn't a god. Why do you want to believe everything he says? Because somebody was standing up for me. No, I'm not. I'm a normal dude, and everyone makes mistakes, everyone gets fooled, but in this case, I really feel that that Q is a legit thing. Now, that being said, there are some psychological operations in the Q movement, because in order to keep their enemy thrown off, they have to put out a little bit of disinformation. They'll say one thing and do another. I totally get that. So you really have to look at the bigger picture. But hey, if I'm wrong in the long run, you can say I told you so, and I won't get mad at you. Or block you, or call you a shill, or anything like that. I'll say, hey, you guys were right. But I really feel like I'm going to be able to say I was right on that one. So don't get mad at me or block me if I was right. Cheryl Lewis says V2K is hell. I could imagine, Cheryl. I'm sorry that you have to go through that. So to explain, if there's still people here that are maybe from the neighborhood, people that are new to the to my channel, new to understanding what targeted individuals are. So Cheryl Lewis says V2K is hell. V2K is an acronym for voice to skull, which is otherwise known as the voice of God, or voice to brain transmission. And this technology was created, the first brain to computer to brain transmission was successful in 1974. They successfully spoke into somebody's head in 1974. The first, right here, the first unclassified successful transmission of the human voice directly into the skull of a living person was performed by Dr. Joseph C. Sharp of the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research in 1974. By transforming a, I can't make this bigger. Yeah. So anyway, that happened in 1974. They've been using that on people ever since. And when somebody complains about it, they, even though they know they have the technology, they'll say, "Well, you're crazy. You're hearing voices. You're delusional or schizophrenic." And so it's gaslight, and it's one of the worst forms of torture that you can imagine. If you've never been gaslit, oh boy, I hope you don't. Unless you're one of the people that have done it to somebody else, then you get to see how it feels. Uh, so Cheryl experiences V2K, or voice to skull. Here's literally people speaking to her in her skull. And she's not the only one. That's part of what Dr. Robert Duncan talks about in his books. It's one of the technologies that he helped create or helped enhance. And this technology was actually used in combat in the Middle East. The Marine Corps has a device called active denial, and they use this for multiple applications, for crowd dispersal, for different things. But basically, a group of Marines went up against a large group of combatants in the Middle East, and they used the voice to skull technology on these combatants. And the people that they were fighting in the Middle East were Islamic Muslims, and so they believe in Allah. So the Marine Corps said, "This is Allah. Lay down your weapons and disassemble them." And the whole group looked around and was like, "Allah just told us to put down our weapons and disassemble them." So they put them all down, started taking them apart, and when they did, the Marine Corps went in there and they grabbed them all and they zip tied them, and they, yeah, I guess that was the end of that story. So that's been used, it's been proven, it's been reported that technology exists, yet when somebody tries to go to a psychologist or goes to a doctor, police, or anybody for help, nobody will listen. They say, "I'm hearing voices inside my head." And they go, "Well, you're crazy. You have some kind of chemical imbalance." Regardless if whatever chemical they think is imbalanced, there's been no proof ever documented that shows which chemical it is that's not balanced in the brain that would cause any of these. There's more proof to show that science and technology is responsible for these type of complaints than a chemical imbalance. But because there's been a stigma attached to it, and people don't want to be considered crazy because they know what kind of punishment can be carried out on them, they either try to ignore it or not tell anybody, or, it's a really messed up thing. So, all right, well, I think I'll end on that. Thanks for everybody that usually watches my live streams. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for being here. Hope you had a good Easter. To everybody in the Glenhurst and Coldwater Springs neighborhood. If anybody's here from the neighborhood, how you doing? Thanks for backing me up on the Nextdoor app. I really appreciate it. Some of you are funny. Some of you are patriots and free thinkers, and it really makes me feel good to know that I'm not just completely surrounded by neighborhood Nazis, that there's actually some people that complain about the types of things that these people do. That's amazing. That's amazing. Somebody, Queen Esther said, "God bless." I agree with Queen Esther. God bless you all. God bless those neighbors out there that believe in freedom and are free thinkers and don't want to be led by fear. welcome to my live stream if you're here. Uh, Thank you for watching. Message me on Twitter. On I'd say just on Twitter. If you message through my website, I have a really tough time getting into those messages. I can't remember the last time I checked them. Message me on Twitter. Uh, Leave me a comment. Please, I never remember to do this. Please like this video. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Uh, Times are really tough. Sales went down over $3,000 for me this last month, so financially, life sucks. I still haven't paid April's rent. Uh, Paid most of the other bills, but they're coming up again. Haven't paid the car insurance. USA isn't canceling insurance until June 17th. But they're building up. They're building up, and sales aren't picking up that much. So if you want to visit my eBay store, eBay, just go to Google, type in hats around the world, all one word, space eBay, search it, go to the eBay store. Got 14,000 items available for sale there. And my PayPal is, I never get this right. Well, there's a link on my website, barredin.us. Go to the bottom of the website. There's a PayPal link, or go to Facebook, Michael Barden. There's a PayPal link there. If you want to donate for my my research, my journalism, whatever you want to call it. If you have a millionaire philanthropist uncle that likes free thinkers, send this to him. I'd appreciate it. Just trying to pay the bills, pay the rent, put food in the refrigerator, get through this. I don't do anything fun with my money. The only thing I waste my money on is these damn pods. Don't drink, don't smoke, marijuana, nothing. Just pay bills, do videos, try to run my business. I appreciate any help I can get. Oh, here, dude, Amazing Polly always does this one. She has a P.O. box. I have a P.O. box. It's P.O. box, catch this, P.O. box 702, as in FISA section 702. Imagine that coincidence. But it's Avondale, Arizona, Avondale, Arizona, post office box 702. And you can send me snail mail there, send me hate mail, whatever you want. I don't care. It's nice getting mail. Just don't send me nude photographs like this one lady was doing for a while. She was, I don't know, she was like in her 60s, I think, and she was getting dressed up and sending me naked pictures of her. But she was addressing it to like me and my son and writing these really long letters that looked like, I don't know. I almost think it was fake. Anyway, that's a whole nother talk show. I'm gonna go now. Thank you all for showing up, and have a great night. Happy Easter. All right, talk to you later.